In this presentation, I will be covering HTTP, also known as Hypertext Transfer Protocol. HTTP concepts include, as the hypertext part of the name implies, the idea that files can contain references to other files whose selection will elicit additional transfer requests. Any web server machine contains, in addition to the web page files it can serve, an HTTP daemon, a program that is designed to wait for HTTP requests and handle them when they arrive. Your web browser is an HTTP client sending requests to server machines. When the browser user enters file requests by either opening a web file, typing in a uniform resource locator, or URL for short, or by clicking on a hypertext link, the browser builds an HTTP request and sends it to the Internet Protocol address, or the IP address, indicated by the URL. The HTTP daemon in the destination server machine receives the request and sends back the requested file or files associated with the request. HTTP has a request and response type structure. A few methods for HTTP request include GET, which will retrieve documents from the server, the head section, which retrieves document headers from server, a POST method that sends data to server for processing, a PUT method which stores documents on the server, a delete method which removes documents from the server, options method which determine the methods the server can support. A connect method establishes a tunnel to the server identified by the target resource. The trace method is will trace the path a request takes through proxy servers on the way to the destination. A few HTTP response codes include codes 100 through 199 are information responses. An example would be 100 will mean continue due to everything being okay and that the client should continue with the request or ignore if they are already finished. Codes 200 through 299 are all successful responses. 300 to 399 is a redirection code, which could mean the request has more than one possible response, or even the website has moved and the user will be prompted with a new URL in the response. Code 400 through 499 is a client error, which could mean a bad request. 500 to 599 error is a server error, such as a bad gateway where the server is not ready to handle the request. HTTP versus HTML. HTML is the hypertext markup language and is a standardized system for tagging text files to achieve font, color, graphic, and hyperlink effects on World Wide Web pages. HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is the data transfer protocol used on the World Wide Web. Both were invented by the same person, Tim Berners-Lee. A little about Tim Berners-Lee. Sir Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web in 1989. On March 18th of 2013, Sir Tim, along with Vinton Cerf, Robert Kahn, Louis Pouzin, and Mark Andreessen, was awarded the Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering for groundbreaking innovation in engineering that has been a global benefit to humanity. On 4 April of 2017, Sir Tim was awarded the ACM AM Turing Prize for inventing the World Wide Web, the first web browser, and the fundamental protocols and algorithms allowing the web to scale. The Turing Prize, called the Nobel Prize of Computing, is considered one of the most prestigious awards in computer science. All this data was found on w3.org with a link below the slide. A network protocol, according to the site listed below, means the network protocols are formal standards and policies comprised of rules, procedures, and formats that define communication between two or more devices over a network. Network protocols govern the end-to-end processes of timely, secure, and managed data or network communication. This is an example of an HTTP conversation. The client sends a request. I would like to open a connection. The server says, okay. The client then sends the file location back to the server, and the server sends the page or an error message back to the client, and it will display on the client's machine. Then the connection is closed, and that is in. HTTP is an application layer protocol where the client sends requests to the server for any kind of data, and the server sends a response back to the client. The web client and the web server are application programs. Application layer programs do useful work like retrieving web pages, sending and receiving email, or transferring files. Lower layers take care of the communication details. The client and server send messages and data without knowing anything about the communication network. The application layer is the top layer of the TCP/IP model, which is not to be confused with the OSI model, which has 7 layers. Here's an example. You want to send a packet of data, such as a file, to another location. You don't care how it gets there, but you want to know when it arrives or if it is unable to be delivered. The application program says, send this request to the server by any means, and the details aren't important. Just send a message and let me know when it arrives, or if it doesn't. Here are a few application layer protocols. HTTP, the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. In the application side, it retrieve and view web pages. The File Transfer Protocol, or FTP for short, allows users to transfer files between two hosts. The SMTP, or Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, is used for send email messages. POP, or Post Office Protocol, or the newer POP3, is used to read email from a mail server. The TCP/IP protocol layers are listed below, which include 4. The application layer, which retrieves web pages, copy files, send and receive email. The transport layer of the model is responsible for maintaining end-to-end communications across the network. The network layer, also called the internet layer, deals with transporting packets between networks. The network interface deals with protocols that operate only on a link, the network component that interconnects nodes or hosts in the network. In the OSI model, this will be referred to as the physical layer.